Okay, so today's program is our quarterly club assembly where we just update the membership on happenings, doings and happenings that go beyond, the general announcements that I bring to the table weekly or that anyone else brings to the meeting. So what we're going to do today is give a couple of the board members a chance to update us. We always like to do a financial update. Dave Weiner is not available. He's traveling to California, visit his family. So Ron, who did an admirable job at the board meeting Tuesday in Dave's stead and will be the treasurer next year under Betsy's term, is going to just give the club just a very brief synopsis of where we are financially from the club side and the foundation side. So Ron, you got a couple minutes available here?
Sure. I don't even know if it'll take that long, but really high level. So we're through March now, 9 months through our fiscal year. And for the club, doing very well. We have over $100,000 of cash, about 25,000 of that is restricted, but very strong. Cash is up from last year. We're breaking even expenses and revenue at the club level this year, which I think is very solid in a COVID year. The budget, I think, had us maybe up 3,000, but breaking even is pretty close. On the foundation side, we are almost at budget in income, I think a couple thousand short. We are about 24,000 favorable in expense year to date. And so we did have a discussion with some of the committee chairs who were at the board meeting the other night. And I think, Joe, you're reaching out to some other folks as well, just to confirm, what they feel they'll use for the rest of the year. But financially, I think we're in a solid place.
Any questions for Ron?
Ron, Terry Ennis, your report is on the club account or the foundation?
I think Dave started putting the financials out on, is it the Rotary Club site? Because I get them from Dave directly. I haven't gone out there. Can anyone help me if
Runner, yeah, the financials well, the most recent month might not be posted yet, but Club Runner is where they are.
So is that consolidated, the club and the foundation?
They're separate. There's one set of financials for the club. There's one set of financials for the foundation.
Right, that's what I thought. So what you gave us with the 100,000 in reserve?
100,000 is in the club. That's in the club.
Okay.
That's in the club. Yeah. So we'll get the March ones posted out there very soon.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep.
Any other questions for Ron?
I have a question, but it's not for Ron, it's for you, Joe.
Yeah, what's up, Bill?
How are we doing on our foundation goals this year?
I just opened up my folder and I was like, you know what? I probably should throw that out before. I mean, like literally, I just found, I was like, where do I got that written down at from the board meeting the other day? So I got this anonymous email. I couldn't figure out who it was from. I think it has someone at the district level that has some involvement in foundation. Wanted us to know that for the club assembly to report that we are, of our $14,000 goal on the annual fund, we're at $10,269, and our Polio Plus at 3,500 goal, we are at 2,326. So we still got a couple more months to hopefully reach those goals. And I know it's been a tough year, and as Ron just attested, we're actually doing good. We're in good financial shape. It would be nice to meet these goals, which just means that the membership is stepping up and giving to the foundation. As sometimes I always felt the foundation, for years I was always like not really. I understood it, but I didn't really. Didn't seem to be a lot of of push from the leadership for back when I first joined. And I think that now we understand that this is how we support the causes that Rotary does. So if you haven't, we try every year, even though it hasn't been anything that we've been able to reach any recognition for, but we try to get every member to donate at least $100 on average. So if you haven't been able to make a donation lately, we got a couple more months left. So we're almost there. 3,700 short on the annual fund and only 1,200 short on Polio Plus. So please think of the foundation when you sit down and do your bills for the month. Did you want to say anything on that, Bill?
Nope.
Okay.
Nice job, Joe.
Joe, can I ask a
Mary's got a
question?
question.
Yes, Mary.
Ron and Joe, I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, since you're not down in the details, but in terms of the Polio Plus contribution, you said the contribution to date was about $2,300. Do you know if that is $2,300 coming directly from our membership, or do you know if that is any contribution from the club? In the past, the club has made a contribution and our members have also made contributions.
Yeah, none of that. That's just for members.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so I think one of the things for next month, Joe, is that's going to be a topic of discussion, maybe, right? If the club's going to, Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, if the club's going to think about giving a donation to the foundation, right? Think we
Mary,
talked
in
about
years past, we used to make certain goals for the annual fund and for Polio Plus, and wait until this point in the year to see if the club had made how the club was doing, and then the club would make up the difference. I believe we stopped doing that when we stopped collecting the $4 Happy Fine every week. If you remember, we used to have members who attended lunch used to pay an automatic $4 Happy Fine. So that was where that money was coming from to make up the difference between what the goal was and where we were actually at. But I think in the past couple of years, I don't know if we've made our goals or not. We contributed a lot of money last year.
With
In
respect,
1920, our annual fund contributions were $15,047, and our Polio Plus last year was $7,542, which is significantly more than what we've contributed this year. So,
with respect to, we don't need to get down into all the details, but for the last couple years, when Ron Crawford and I have been doing international, the club has taken $3,000 out of the international budget to contribute to Polio Plus, and then everything that our members have. So that has continued on separately from the annual contribution. So.
no, that's probably why the End Polio Now contribution is so large last year.
Yeah, exactly, Bill. So that's why I want to clarify, but that's great that we've had that much contribution from members.
Mhm.
And back to Bill's point there, Dave, when we had to go Zoom, Dave felt without having a regular envelope funnel of money coming into the club, that it would be better if we just separate Polio Plus. I don't know, for those of you who have donated, he usually asks, do you want it to go to the annual fund? Do you want it to go Polio Plus? But I'd like to see us reach these goals, but it's good to see that we're still getting the membership to step up. We're not all clubs do as well as we do with Polio Plus. We're definitely in the upper echelon of making sure that we're supporting Polio Plus at the level that we do. So just think of it, like I said, we got 2 more months left here. Let's just think of it. If you haven't made a donation in some time, it's appreciated. And just remember, like Dave said last week, I made the mistake of doing this. Don't just write, if you're going to send a check, don't just write Rotary Club of Arlington Heights. Make sure that it's specific to the foundation of the Rotary Club of Arlington Heights. It is a separate entity. We have a separate account at the bank. So it just keeps the banking from having any issues there. Okay,
Joe, if I could just add one more thing. I was listening to a financial program on the radio yesterday, and somebody called in and asked about how can they ensure that, they get a lot of people calling them and asking them for contributions and stuff. How can they ensure that it's a good organization? And whoever the host was referred them to Charity Navigator, which is an organization which evaluates charities. Charity Navigator rates the Rotary Foundation as one of the top foundations in the world. I mean, it is the amount of money we spend for administrative uses out of the total amount that's given is minuscule. So, I mean, it is a great charity. If you've got a spot in your heart for giving, then you should consider giving to the Rotary Foundation.
thank you, Bill. Yep. We should be proud of it. It's considered other organizations aspire to be the Rotary Foundation. So please do your part. All right. Thank you, Ron. Hey, Ron, thank you very much. I know this was kind of throw you into the fire here this last, Tuesday with the meeting. I know you've been working with Dave, and clearly you know what you're doing here, and you've seemed prepared and have been able to step up with no issue, seamlessly. So thank you. We look forward to.
Joe, I have one more thing. I think Mark Poulos is gone, but I got $10 on behalf of Ron because I got a soft spot in my heart for financial people, and I think he did a great job.
Yes. Thank you, Bill.
Well, you know what? I've got to at least match that. So there you go. So put another 10 in there. Thank you, Bill, from one other finance guy to another.
Welcome.
And I'll make sure to let Mark know. It should be seeing him this evening. I'll let him know that even after he left, there was still money coming in. All right.
Good.
That's a mark of a great fun match.
I'm still here, Joe.
Oh, there you are.
I'm still here.
So
I'm
see?
just not on video.
Just hang around and more. You'll just money just keeps coming in, bud.
That's how I roll.
Nice. All right. So next, Harry wanted to let us know what international has, what's been going on with international. Been seeing a lot of emails flying by in my inbox. So Harry, let us know where you're at with some things there.
Okay. First, let me say it's been a privilege. It is a privilege to be chair of the International Services Committee. One truly gets to experience what Rotary represents and symbolizes on the global landscape. So let me, I think everybody knows we have 6 focus areas. I won't get into each one right now in the interest of time. Mark Poulos stole a little bit of my thunder. Yes, we're adding a 7th, the environment, which commences this upcoming Rotary year, July 1. We decided as a committee to focus primarily on 2 areas. I say primarily, not exclusively, on 2 areas: education and basic literacy, and water and sanitation hygiene, known by the tantalizing acronym WASH, W-A-S-H. So we supported, took part, are considering several different projects, and I'm going to just briefly address each one in turn. Let me start with the Kibera School in Kenya. It's in a less favorable part outside Nairobi, just several miles outside Nairobi, Kenya, the capital. Essentially caters to underprivileged kids for educational purposes. We decided this year to provide funding for computer equipment, which is a first for the school. And so students, staff, administrators, what have you, will now literally have windows to the world. And at a later point, I'm more than happy to comment or at a later presentation. The second area I want to touch on is Shelterbox, and that is known to many of us. It is essentially a world-class disaster relief organization, actually founded by a Brit. So don't be so hard on the Brits. They do come up with some exciting things from time to time. At least Joe smiles, I feel good.
I
All
was
right.
gonna say, they came up with this country, if you want to say that.
So essentially what the organization does, and formally Rotary International does have a partnership with the organization as well, which started several years ago. So, we're right in there with them. And what Shelter Box essentially does is provide families much needed support to rebuild lives after really unfortunate circumstances, as in natural disasters, conflict, et cetera, and each shelter box is self-contained, providing tents, blankets, lights, anything you can imagine that would be absolutely necessary to keep them, going, if you will, before they can rebuild. So we've also decided to do that this year, and we have in recent years as well. Guatemala is very close to many Rotarians' hearts in our club, and we decided to continue our engagement with them. Guatemala Tomorrow Fund, and as most of you all are aware, their mission is primarily to assist the indigenous folks in Guatemala towards self-sustainment. That includes obviously literacy and enhancement, healthcare improvement, sustaining positive agricultural innovation, et cetera. And many of our clubs in the district also support this endeavor. And without any hesitation, it's been a great success story. Sustainable Cambodia is another project that we will be funding under the WASH umbrella, no pun intended. And this project is in sync with the Rotary Club of Persat, Cambodia, where we will be focusing on a single village having anywhere from 12 plus families. And you can do the math. If we assume each family has at least two kids, maybe more, we'll be supporting a lot of people. And essentially, they will have access to safe drinking water through water purification, as well as some of the funding will go towards upgrading their hygiene facilities. So a very, very interesting project. We first supported this 2 years ago, and we felt it would be very nice. And they've been excellent in providing us their needs, very clear cut, and we have them on the ground there. So another exciting thing.
Hey, Harry, give me one more minute here, bud. I gotta.
Yeah, I'm at the tail end.
Talk about.
And we're not done yet. Right now, we are considering a couple more projects, at least in the great country of Uganda, and it could be under literacy and or the WASH categories. So that is ongoing. And as we close, I just want to say that I want to touch on the global grant side. This year, we had a far reduced amount, but we did make a commitment not long ago to engage in partially. We still have some funding on the global grant side, but we decided to engage partially on a global grant initiative, humanitarian initiative that is being spearheaded by Lake Forest and Lake Bluff Rotary Club. It's a big project, and it has to deal with hemophilia in southern India, specifically the state of Karnataka. We thought the vast majority of clubs in our district stepped up for this cause. And even though it's a noble cause, it essentially promotes our goodwill and solidarity within the district. So that is what is transpired on the global grant side. So in essence, by the time it's all said and done, we would have touched 3 continents, 5 countries, and this is, I just love the momentum. And thank you. So any questions, if Joe permits? I think I have a latitude of at least 120 seconds.
Thank you, Harry.
I would prefer questions from the non-committee members so that they get a chance to ask or to comment.
Any questions, any pertinent questions for Harry? Because we do have a very pertinent topic to get to here. Okay, hearing none, then thank you, Harry, for the updates, and keep International doing what it's doing. It's been a difficult year for all of us, but I know you've been doing a pretty nice job with your committee of making sure that we're doing our fulfilling our duties with International. So thank you very much, Harry.
Thank you.
John Kent, are you available? John said he was at the office
Yes.
taking some calls. Yes, you are?
Yes, I am.
You want to just quickly give us some news on what's going
Sure.
on with youth services?
So we have Rotary Interact. It's at Rolling Meadows, and they've been pretty much shut down from COVID, but they are getting ready to do their spring international project. We do have a Zoom call with the whole club tomorrow. Linda and Mary Jablonski are going to be joining me. We're going to talk about a couple of the international programs that our club is looking at and offering them an opportunity to also be involved. So that will be either, Cambodia or else Uganda. And we'll have more information available for the club as soon as that decision's made. But the kids at Rolling Meadows or the students, I should say, at Rolling Meadows are excited to have this project. And every year it's been a great project. So this year should be no different.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John? Yeah. John stepped up when we needed someone, and knowing that the climate with the schools was challenging at least, the very least, he's been making every effort to work with the Interact Club at Rolling Meadows and Prospect and do whatever he can do. So I know you probably have had the toughest go of it with the situation with schools, but now that they're back to school and hopefully they're getting into their routine, we'll see things continue to move in the right direction, John. Okay, so lastly, the elephant in the room is the in-person meeting resumption. The board spoke at length this past Tuesday after taking into council the survey that was sent out a few months ago. Feedback we've been getting from a number of members, particularly some vociferous feedback on when are we getting back to meeting in person. We have decided that we feel the time is right to resume that starting in May. We are not suggesting that we completely do away with hybrid Zoom meetings. And because the survey, the respondents who said that they were interested in getting back to meeting in person, very few of them suggested that they wanted to get back to meeting weekly. It looked like bi-weekly was the overall consensus. The board felt that we should, go with the club's recommendations there, or sentiments. So we are going to shoot for, starting this first Thursday in May, have a alternating setup. The first and third Thursdays, we would meet in person with the hybrid format as we were doing last summer. The second and fourth, we would be doing Zoom only. The Palm Court situation we need to make sure that we have that rectified. I had a call in with George last night and again this morning, and have not been able to reach him. Dave is unfortunately, like I said, in San Francisco. Dave has been doing most of the negotiating with them, especially when we went back to resumption of in-person in last summer. I'm feeling strongly, they've never been anything but accommodating. I'm feeling strongly that they will be able to help us get back to some semblance of in-person. Other than that, I don't think that I missed anything. Anyone on the board, anything else that was discussed? Let's see, anything that, no? Covered that pretty well? Oh, wow. Okay, so let's open it now. We're at 12:57, but I think this is a important enough topic that if you've got something to say, don't feel like you're going to be limited by the clock here. So does anyone have any questions, any comments, any feelings about this decision? For real?
I'm excited about it.
Thank you, Karen. I was like, I guess maybe we're talked out about it. I know in a couple weeks ago it turned into a little bit longer discussion when I made an initial mention of it. Yes, Karen, I know you've been very supportive of let's get back to this. And I've always, it's interesting that you were the first person to comment, because you being in the hospital system, I mean, when we needed someone to help us come up with a screen, you were on it. You integrated the hospital screens at our meetings. I then stole it from you, and I now do that at my clinic. And I know other colleagues of mine have emulated it after I've spoken with them. So with your strong support, I've always felt like, well, Karen is in the hospital system. If Karen sees that this is something we're ready to do, I feel, at least from an empirical evidence perspective, I feel very strongly about it. So,
Well, we still have to keep our protocols in place though,
of course.
masks and taking the temp when everybody comes and.
Right. And one of the discussions that was one of the points that was brought up at the board meeting on Tuesday was what if Palm Court, because when we were back in person in the summer, I think the average was somewhere between 15 and 18. Maybe occasionally we do 20, 22. That's one of the discussions we need to have with Palm Court, although they already made some accommodations for that. Assuming that we're going to bring in a few more in person, are they going to allow us to continue to use the large room that gave us plenty of space? My thinking is they might be looking to use that room to start increasing revenue that they're trying to catch up on. And that might be a little bit of a hurdle, because they have a smaller room there, but it's too small. I think we've had a board meeting there before, and there was maybe 5 of us that had come in person, and it seemed like there wouldn't be many more that could be in that space. And this was during COVID that we had that meeting. So hopefully we can get them to be open to using the large room, so there's not any concerns if we all of a sudden start seeing 25, 30 people coming back. Because I'm sure the survey, some of us who said maybe they weren't ready might have been vaccinated by now and might say, hey, yeah, I would be willing to do it, especially with certain precautions in place. So fingers crossed that we can get this worked out with them. Like I said, they've never been, I mean, they've bent over backwards to bring us in. They're new owners, and they were put in a very difficult situation as owners of the establishment. So I really feel strongly that this is going to work out fine. And hopefully we're sending out an email announcing that we're good to go. Start planning on that Thursday if you're ready to get in person and do some fellowship that the way that we're used to.
So Joe, I'd like to ask a question, and I wish I had thought in advance to set this up as a polling question, but I didn't. If anyone who's on the call right now who's comfortable, including the 6 people who have their cameras off, how many plan to be there in person on May 6th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think that's a good, and you people, Bob raised his hand. All right. I think that's a good start. And hopefully some of the people who aren't on the call today will show up. We will start again sending out an email every week, asking people to register so that we have an idea. You know, Palm Court wants to know before we show up if there's going to be 5 people or 15 people. So I'm hopeful that we will get this going again. And of course, we'll be looking for volunteers for the various roles.
I was going to finish up with that. I didn't want to go too soon with that, but I think it sounds like there doesn't seem to be too much dissent. But yes, we are asking if you're tasking the board with making this decision and us going forward with it, we need all the help we can get, because it's just not fair to the really, I want to say 4 individuals who were doing all the work when it came to running those meetings. And I'm not including myself. I was generally walking in 5 minutes before meeting time and everything was set up and ready to go. I was trying to stay later to help with teardown as much as I can, but it's just not fair that we were on the front end. Linda and Betsy and Chris got us set up for hybrid so quickly that the district was referencing us saying, wow, Arlington Heights really, God, they figured it out so quickly. But there were still plenty of hiccups along the way. I don't think a meeting went by. Betsy made mention of this recently. I don't think a meeting went by that we didn't have at least something technologically, throw a little glitch in there or one thing or another. But we really need, I should say, everyone to step up. And I made a comment at the meeting that I think I know most of the members enough that I'm willing to basically not ask, say, I'd like you to do this week, would like you to do this, because my concern is if we say, hey, will you fill out a volunteer sheet? I don't know if that's always going to get the response, and then if you say you signed up and then you forgot, which was always a problem we had with greeters. So please, if you're going to if you want to get back to in person and you're going to be coming on every other week, it's every other week. It's not every week where we're asking you to, okay, you got to be there to do this. So try and chip in if as much as you can, just make all of our jobs easier.
Joe, when you guys talk to Palm Court and work the arrangements of how many people in that, have they and will they be able to verify their staff has been vaccinated?
That's a great point, Ed. Thank you. No, I guess you're right, because I'm now that you mentioned that, that's a wonderful point, and I would personally like to know that, and I'm sure it's in the best interest of the club.
Well, I mean, you deal with patients, so right. It's like you have to, we're went to a funeral today. But other than that, don't do that. But when you're dealing with people, you got to be careful. Other people who are, working with at work, I see people in there. So I mean, you have to, the liability there.
I will.
I don't want to start a long debate. I don't want to start a debate at all. But if I'm fully vaccinated, what do I care if my server is vaccinated?
Is it good for all concerned?
And you know what, Betsy, I exactly. I don't want to. This is opening.
It'll be a splitter.
Well, another issue. If you are vaccinated and somebody there isn't and can transmit it to you, is that something you can take home to your family? That
you're a carrier, yes.
would be a concern.
Yes, you're a carrier.
Yeah. So there, it would really be nice to know.
It doesn't prevent you. Just the immune system, your immune system, because of the vaccine, will help fight it, but it'll still be something that you could spread.
Right.
And I don't want to open up a whole debate here either about this, but it also is just not the employees at the Palm Court, but I don't want to go against anybody's privacy, but we have no assurance that all of us have been vaccinated either. I mean, it's a very much personal choice.
One of the things I didn't want, thank you, Mary, because I didn't want it to be, okay, yes, we're gonna go back in person. Well, look, everyone wants to make sure you've been vaccinated because we went back in person last year and we weren't vaccinated. So it's not, it's just now that many of us have had the luxury of being vaccinated. I believe, anyone wanna second this or I haven't been up on the CDC guidelines of late, or the state of Illinois, but I believe in Illinois, essential workers, which restaurant servers, I believe is considered that, they are now eligible, correct?
I think so.
Yes,
Okay,
everybody
so
over the age of 16 is now eligible in
yeah,
Illinois.
so I'll confirm with them.
Thank you.
And if, depending on what he says, if I'll bring it, we can bring it back to the club. I mean, taking his word probably is not enough. If there's enough concern, I think we probably would need to see actual evidence of that. I'll handle that with the restaurant. What was I going to say though? There was another thing that just crossed my mind. Oh boy, something one of you just said that I was going to follow up on. I thought of something. Any other comments on this?
Unrelated to vaccinations, but just to make Dave and Ron's life easier, when we start meeting in person, is payment by credit card the best way to pay?
Actually, I was gonna Dave has been so good with this, and I was gonna wait till Dave was back, Mary, to kind of.
That's fine, you can. We can do this
inform
next
the
week.
club. Right now, what they've discussed is a ticket system. You can always pay cash, you can always pay check, no more credit cards, just the difficulties, the logistics, the fees. But like a punch card system where you prepay, it gets sent out in your bill, you're
Right.
covered for 10 meals, and then each time you use it, boom, 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 it gets taken off of your punch card. So that's currently where they're thinking would be the best way to go about this. Kind of keeps us on a pay-as-you-go system, but just with a little bit of a modification. And I'm sure Dave can give us more details on that once things are finalized and we get everything with Palm Court cleared up. But another good question. Thank you. All right, we're at 10 after 1. Does anyone else have any significant concerns or discussion points they want to bring to the table now? Okay, wonderful. So as soon as I've got more information, I will pass that on. Because of the time, we're looking at 3 weeks today. If I was to get this rectified with Palm Court, I will put out an email tomorrow. I'd rather not wait till next week's meeting. I'm sure a lot of you want to know, is this happening? You might have your schedules, you might have to start making some changes in. So as soon as the I's have been dotted and T's crossed, I will let the club know.